Start the meeting by thanking our visitors for being here this evening with us, both in chamber and viewing remotely. I now call to order the September 16, 2021 regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Alderman Osteen.
Here.
Alderman Rucker.
Here.
Alderman Moroz.
Here.
Alderman Becker.
Here.
Alderman Ross. Mayor Alvery.
Here. We do have a quorum. First item of business is mayor's communications, and I would like to take just a minute and congratulate our city clerk, Ms. Bethron. I received notice that you have achieved your certification as a registered city clerk from the Missouri City Clerks Association. So congratulations. There will be some more final presentations made at, I believe, a banquet that you all have for your organization, but that won't be until March. And I just couldn't wait until March to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell you thank you for, I know that there's a lot of work and effort that goes into accomplishing a certification like that, and I appreciate that effort.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, we'll move on now to citizens communication. This is time set aside on the agenda for citizens and visitors to address the mayor and board on any topic that is not a public hearing, and there is a public hearing on tonight's agenda. For those here in person, speakers will be restricted to 3 minutes unless otherwise permitted. Minutes may not be donated or transferred from one speaker to another. Visitors attending via online will be in listen-only mode. Any questions or comments for the mayor and board may be sent to the city clerk at tbethron@osagebeach.org no later than 10 a.m. And I have to move to page 2. Okay. On the board meeting dates, the first and third Thursday of each month. Submitting questions and comments may be read during the citizens communication section of the agenda. The Board of Aldermen will not take action on any item not listed on the agenda, nor will it respond to questions, although staff may be directed to respond at a later time. The Mayor and Board of Aldermen do welcome and value your input and feedback from the public. Is there anyone here who would like to address the board? And if so, please come forward. If you haven't signed in, please sign in on the form found in front of the microphone before the dais. Okay. Mr. Harmison, welcome.
Thank you. Yes, Michael Harmison is my name for those who don't know me. I have Harmy's Cheese Store and More down the road, small business. Also Harmison's Hometown Fundraising down the road also. The reason I'm here tonight is just to talk about the bump program that I knew nothing about until the last meeting. And I was listening to it as a small business owner with interest. And so Mr. Welty was kind enough to send me some information. I visited some of the businesses that were contacted about the bump program. From an outsider looking in as a small business owner, and I know there's a couple aldermen that was against it, a couple that were for it, and I didn't know if you were going to vote on it tonight or not. But I just want to give my opinion as a small business owner. The way it sounded from the outside in is the city came in and put the bumps in. Nobody seemed to like them. It didn't sound like there was any problem with drainage before the bumps were put in. Several people didn't like the bumps. And so the city went to them and said, hey, we would like to fix it for you. And again, this is information I gathered, may not be 100% accurate. I'm hurrying because I have 3 minutes.
Take your time. We're in no hurry.
All right, thank you. My understanding was the city approached these 24 businesses, hey, we would like to fix this problem for you. You didn't have a drainage problem before. They got a grant with the sidewalks, 2 separate issues. So they came in and they fixed the sidewalks and then put the bumps in. Again, drainage had never been an issue, according to my understanding. This has been a couple years ago, I believe. So many businesses said, sure, we would like to talk more. I believe it was 12 businesses said, yeah, we would like to talk more. At this point in time, it's my understanding that no variance had been asked to be signed. Once you had about 12 businesses said, yeah, we would like this bump gone, we don't like it, that's when they were sent a variance saying, hey, you need to sign off on this. I talked to many business owners that were advised by their attorney, don't sign off on it because you didn't have a drainage problem before. Now they came in and put the bumps, and now they're saying if they take the bumps back out and there's a drainage problem, now it's on you, not the city, when there was never a drainage problem. So many people did not do it for that reason, from me talking to them personally. I also know one business that stood over the contractor that was putting in the bumps and literally said, you will not put that bump in my driveway. And they didn't. And the contractor, according to this business owner, said, you're a very smart man. Move forward, of the 12 people that were contacted and were signed off on, one business went through all the paperwork, signed off on it, and said, okay, we'll still do it. I was also told by this same business that when they put the bump in, it caused a drainage issue. The bump did. And she showed me where they put the riprap in to correct it. Didn't have a drainage issue, put the bump in, now they have a drainage issue. Now the city says, all right, we're gonna take the bump back out, but you're liable. She still signed it. And according to the last meeting, we had at least 2 aldermen saying, tough, we're not gonna do it. I think that's wrong. And I know there's a lot of 110 grand. It wasn't that one business's fault that the other 23 chose not to do it. I think it's wrong to vote in favor of saying, nope, sorry, we're gonna take back our offer. I think the right thing to do is get that one business done. In fact, Jorabella walked in the other day and I said, can you tell me about the bump program? Her first words to me were, are they finally gonna do it? I've been told all this time they're gonna do it and it still hasn't been done. And I said, I honestly don't know. All I know is from the last meeting, it sounds like they may or may not even do it now. So my point of being here tonight, for those of you that are gonna vote against it, I'm gonna suggest that you change your mind and let's get this lady's driveway taken care of. And if the city says they're gonna do something, let's do it. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Harmison, thank you for taking your time to be with us this evening. Is there anyone else that would like to share with the board this evening? We do have someone who's a little bit late. We were kind of expecting you would. That's okay. It's not a problem. We're glad you're here. Jesse, I'm sorry I don't know your last name, but I know that you're here representing the organization. We just made the Missouri City Clerks and Financial Officers Association, and we just congratulated Tara for achieving that. So please feel free to make your presentation. Mike, can you get a cell phone and take a picture?
Thank you. You guys are.
Pose, ladies. Pose for a picture, guys.
Oh, wait, hold on. We're not very organized.
Awesome. You got something to say?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Well, now we'll go sit down.
Good evening. My name is Melissa Stratt. I'm the Deputy City Clerk for the City of Camdenton. This is Jessie Kendall from Warsaw. She's the City Clerk at Warsaw. And we are members of the Public Relations Committee for the Missouri City Clerks and Finance Officers Association. And we're here to congratulate Ms. Tara for receiving her MRCC. Yay! So my City Clerks and Finance Officers as an association has membership of approximately 516 clerks and is dedicated to the education of city clerks and finance officers throughout the state of Missouri. With the ever-changing state statutes and rules governing cities, it's vital that someone be kept current on those changes and regulations. MOCC FOA takes this role very seriously and will continue to strive to ensure that the education provided is relevant to the needs and the positions we cover. Additionally, you as elected officials are to be commended for your continued support of Tara as she works towards her certification for MOCC FOA. It clearly demonstrates that you recognize the knowledge she receives at educational sessions is a great benefit to you, other city staff, and your citizens. On behalf of the MOCC FOA state level and the Central Division, we want to congratulate and give best wishes to Tara as she continues her commitment to lifelong learning in her career and service to the city of Osage Beach. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Lady, thank you very much.
All right.
Making the trip down from Warsaw, we really appreciate both of you being here. All right. All right, our first item of business is the approval of the consent agenda. If the board desires, the consent agenda may be approved by a single motion. Tonight's agenda consists of the minutes of the September 2nd, 2021 Board of Aldermen meeting and the September 16th, 2021 bills list. Are there any questions, comments, or proposed revisions?
I called mine in.
Okay. And if none more than what has already been shared, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Alderman Morose, do I have a second? Alderman Rucker. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda is approved. For the record, there is no unfinished business on tonight's agenda, so we will move forward to new business. And under new business, our first item is a public hearing, Lacey Fine Airport, City of Osage Beach lease with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources extension request. Assistant City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the board. This hearing will fulfill the terms of the 2006 amendment to the original lease agreement dated March 5th, 1999 between the city and the Department of Natural Resources for the leasing and operation of the Lacey Fine Airport. If you remember, the lease extension was approved by the board back on June 17th, 2021, and it will extend the lease of the airport property until February 28th, 2045. This is important to us because of the grants. We have to have 20-year lease in place in order to continue to get the grants that we have. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Before I open the public hearing, are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, I now open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to comment either for or against this request? Seeing no one, then I now close the public hearing and move on. Our next item and final item for the evening requests both a first and second reading of Bill Number 2166, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending Ordinance Number 20.83, adopting the 2021 annual budget, amending a previously adopted amendment regarding early bond payoff. City Administrator.
Yes, Mayor, members of the board. So back in August, our first meeting in August, the board approved me and City Treasurer to approach the Missouri Department of Natural Resources through our SRF funding to get consent to early pay off one of our water bonds. Unfortunately, we did not get that consent from the Department of Natural Resources for water and sewer. It did not fit in their profile or their portfolio for us to pay it off, even though we have paid off one early in the earlier couple years ago. So at that time, I had amended the budget to support your approval. Well, now I'd like to reverse that budget amendment since we cannot get consent to pay the early bond off. And I think Carrie's got some additional details. She really had the conversations with them, so.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for the reminder. Can you hear me? Yep. Yes, you were, Gina brought you all up to, informed you of what was going on when we were denied the 2007 water issue was declined. And we went ahead and asked them why, and at the time they responded with that the sewer was stronger than the water. So we immediately turned around and said, well, we have a sewer, a 2005 sewer. Would you please consider that one for early payoff? And waited and waited and waited. And earlier this week or late last week, I finally asked them, I said, did you receive that question? And I want to just briefly go ahead and tell you how they responded. And she said as of May of this year, they were no longer doing prepayments, let alone complete payoffs, to mitigate adverse impact of the payments. As previously mentioned, the program relies on anticipated interest to meet the debt obligations of the program. And even though the sewer clean water program is more robust than the water, the large number of prepayments over the past 2 years has caused a strain on the program. So that was the official explanation. And she also said that if things were to change in the markets or anything were to change, that they would let us know if that would be considered in the future. So I just wanted to let you know that we did follow up with the process and didn't take the first no that they offered. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve first reading?
So moved.
Alderman Becker, do I have a second?
Second.
Alderman Rucker, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? First reading passes. Second reading by title only of ordinance number 2166, an ordinance of the City of Osage Beach, Missouri, amending ordinance 20-85, the 2021 annual budget, by replacing ordinance 21.49 as previously adopted, amendment regarding early bond payoff. Is there any additional questions from the board? With none, is there a motion to approve second reading?
So moved.
Alderman Morose, do I have a second? Alderman Becker. Roll call, please.
Alderman Rucker,
Yes.
Alderman Morose,
Yes.
Alderman Osteen,
Yes.
Alderman Becker,
Yes.
Alderman Ross.
All right, second reading passes. We're at the end of our agenda. Fastest meeting I think I've had. We move on to communications from members of the Board of Aldermen. Alderman Morose.
Well, first of all, I think it's awesome to have such a great response, and we'll see even more, a bike fest in our area that creates a lot of revenue for the city and community. And anyway, I'm glad the weather's going to be cooperative, and it's just a good time of the year to have them. And my other thought was I was going to bring up that I want to be sure that when we're speaking and have done about Autumn Lane, and maybe this has already happened, that each resident on Autumn Lane has been notified of what's happening on their road. I had a couple comments made from a couple residents saying, well, we heard that it passed, they're going to pave it, but we don't know what they're doing. And I was trying to be as intelligent as I was, but I said, well, I think maybe a letter should be sent out, and maybe it has been. I just wanted to bring that up. Mike, do you know anything about that?
I do.
Thank you.
I spoke with Eric Howell earlier today with Cochran Engineering, and they are in the process of getting that information out to all the residents as far as what's going on, the easements and all that stuff. I think they've been working with our attorney, Ed, on that. But as far as I know, that is in the process. And I also know that the Special Road District last night approved the funding for that road as well. So as it stands right now, we are going through that process, getting in contact with those owners, securing those easements, and hopefully we will be doing some construction early next year on
To
that.
move forward.
An
Well-
official budget amendment will be brought
I'm
to you.
sorry?
An official budget amendment for that will be brought at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you. And I reassured them, I said, you know, one of the big problems I knew from the drainage of whenever it was a heavy rain, the gravel or whatever would go down in the lower neighbor's yard. And I said, that will be rectified. And anyway, so thank you for that. And I appreciate that they will be notified. Thank you. And other than that, in comments that Mr. Harmison had made about the driveway entrance and exits, and you know, we approved, it was only approved that one business owner would be getting some kind of improvement, correct? From what was the response from the survey?
Next meeting, that will be shored up at the next meeting, at October 7th meeting. Cochrane is finalizing the estimate for the one, and that will be officially brought to the board to vote on October 7th.
Okay, okay. All right. Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it, sir. Thank
All right.
you.
Alderman Osteen.
I have nothing this evening other than a quick question. Aren't the meetings minutes posted on our website?
Yes.
So as far as Phyllis is wanting them to have accurate knowledge about what we are discussing, approvals of things, et cetera, that would be a good venue to say, well, you can always go to the website and pull the previous meeting minutes, which will update you on discussions regarding that issue. Just
For those that do that, that would be good.
for those that could, just off the top of my head.
And I think that's step one, but in some cases, there may be some additional questions that, haven't even been, resolved at this point yet. So, if they have those kinds of questions, that's why staff is here. That's why Mike, gets involved and works with, Cochrane, to get those questions answered. So I think everything is set up to be moved forward in the way that it should be. So I think we're in good shape. But that's a good point. That's always a good reference point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
That was all.
All right. Thank you. Alderman Becker.
Tara, congratulations.
Thank you.
And Kevin, do we have an update on the silt barrier issue on the west side of town?
Yeah, it's a long discussion, but the short answer is yes, we do. As I understand it, the existing permit for their erosion control BMPs was approved, but the site conditions changed and made that permit no longer valid. That process, Lloyd and I, and we need to have a discussion too with Mike, as to what happens next in the process for as far as code enforcement goes when the conditions on the site change so much that what makes that existing permit no longer valid. And that's really where we're getting into the weeds a little bit, is like what triggers that and who triggers that, and then frankly, Lloyd was looking for a little more teeth, if you will, as far as shutting down work, and that's something we definitely want to address for these issues to really have like good, valid enforcement of, erosion control BMPs, best management practices. You need to be able to just shut it down, and nothing happens until you come back into compliance and bring forth a new permit, showing effective BMPs for the, those site changes. So it's, I wish I had a concrete answer for you, but it's a complicated one, and one that we definitely want to address and get Lloyd a little bit more enforcement action. That's basically is what it amounts to. But I know, and I don't have an update from Lloyd. I know he was going to stop by again and basically get double silt barriers up and maybe a sediment trap, and I will get back to you on that to see what exactly happened. We spoke, and he was going to return to the site. And so, but that is something he's looking for, is a little bit more enforcement in regards to city code and for him to stop work. And I hope that's an answer, but I will return to you with an answer specifically to that site.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Does the city clerk need a
tell me
reference
where
point
this
as
is
far as
at?
what the site is and what the business is or what the situation is? Because I'm sure
I think
that,
it's the drainage that
It's on
I guess
industrial.
goes this way, kind of along the expressway, and eventually runs through the Cars property to the lake.
Correct,
Where it's-
yeah. There's site work that's going on, but they've basically been backfilling material that wasn't part of the plan. And that material that they've been dumping on the site is creating a completely different situation that then made the existing permit no longer valid.
is that Breeze?
But it starts way down here, correct?
Kevin, what street name? So Tara can put a street name.
I just need a street name, tell me.
Industrial.
Industrial?
Just,
What I
yeah, it'd be Industrial Drive.
There is no other address off of Industrial.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
That's
Thank
what
you.
she was after.
Okay. Alderman Becker, does that answer your
Yes.
question?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
And based on what I'm hearing, this may be something that will have to be brought back before the board with a recommendation to possibly change some of our existing ordinances and whatever, depending upon, what's found. Correct?
Okay.
Kevin?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right. Alderman Rucker.
Yes, I have a couple things. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Harmon for your information and et cetera. I will tell you, prior to your information tonight, I made some decisions and some choices of what I was going to be doing tonight in reference to this issue. So I just want to let you know that your information is not changing what I'm about to deliver. But I have been opposed to this bump change. I've been opposed to it all along. I felt that it was done. The bump was created because of a concern with what was going to be done with the new sidewalk and the new elevations that were going to be occurring, and concerns that it was going to create a water problem, and that's why the bump was there. The fact that they didn't have any drainage problem prior to this, well, that's fine. We changed things around, and it was concerned it was going to be creating erosion. So that's why the bump was put in there. So that's happened. That's what occurred up to that point. I've been opposed to anything to change this whatsoever. At our last meeting, it was discussed, and we only had one person that came forward and said they wanted it. And I spoke up again and saying I was concerned and I was not in favor of it. After that meeting, I've done some soul searching, and I'm going to tell you that I'm in favor of, and I support, and I'm bringing this up now because I don't know if I won't be at the next meeting physically. Okay, I'm going to be in Texas. We'll see what the internet does if I'm able to be here or not. So I wanted to bring this out before the next meeting. I'm in favor of pursuing and supporting this person that did it because we as a board, even though I was opposed, we as a board said we would do it. We went to them and told them we would do it. So I believe that we need to honor our word. So for that reason, I support us continuing to do this one bump situation, as long as it obviously isn't astronomically out of line with the figures. But anyway, for what it's worth, I hope to be in attendance at the next meeting to be able to vote in support of that one. But if not, if my voice is broken up because it can't be heard because of the internet stuff and whatever, but I wanted to let that be known. The other thing is, I want to say that at our next meeting, we're also going to be having a P&Z situation being brought up with some property and some stuff that's being done over on Bluff Drive. And I just ask you all to do some soul searching because the project is great. I'm concerned with the contractor, and we need to do whatever we can to support the staff to give them as much teeth as possible so that they can keep this contractor's feet to the fire, because he doesn't have a good history of that. Other than that, hopefully I will be at the next meeting, at least virtually. Thank you.
All right. Well, this planning and zoning issue, I'll just make this statement and then we will move on. What will be brought to the board was something that was heard by planning and zoning this week. And that recommendation is going to be moved forward at the request of the Planning and Zoning Commission. However, planning and zoning addresses, the zoning of property. It does not address who is going to do the work, nor does it address anything else. That is a different phase of what happens within the city. So the consideration that will be coming to you relates specifically to the request for the zoning change, and that's what we need, to be considering. Once you get that recommendation, if there are some concerns that you might have, or if you would like further clarification, then I'd recommend that you make contact with the city planner, prior to the next board meeting, or when that will be brought to you, so that, you can get your answers to any questions that you might have. And I guess I'll just leave that issue at this point and move on to City Administrator.
Yes, Mayor, members of the board. Well, the one thing I was going to make sure I talked about was Autumn Lane, but Mike already hit on that. I did attend the Osage Beach Special Road District meeting last night for the sole purpose of giving them information about the draft sidewalk conceptual master plan that Cochrane presented to the board several months ago. I was directed to look into separating out different funding options, whether it was TAP grant or whatever different granting options, as well as get comments from the Osage Beach Special Road District. As you know, they're a great financial partner on our roads and transportation, but they also are a big advocacy group for sidewalks. So I agree that it was worth getting their comments. So they have that in hand, whether that takes them a few weeks or a month. I didn't really give them a deadline because we already have outlined based on recent sidewalk project changes for 2022. So really the master plan affects more of 23 and beyond. So once they kind of give their review and suggestions, we will be bringing it back to the board with Cochrane, and just so you guys can kind of chew on the details again to kind of get closer to adopting a plan, I guess I should say. Same way with streetlights. That's another thing that's kind of been pending that we've never picked back up from a few months ago. Back in May, Cochrane also presented some streetlight design suggestion changes. I know some of you submitted comments to that, so I don't want you to think I've forgotten about the topic. So we'll be seeing that in the next few months. But because we're in the peak of budget, those items aren't necessarily need finalized for budget purposes. So whether that's October or November, we shall see. But I just want to give you a heads up. We've not forgotten about those two items, and that's forthcoming. Other than that, that's the only update I have.
All right, thank you. City Attorney.
Congratulations, Tara, on being a certified city clerk. We've always known you were certifiable.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
City Clerk.
I just want to say thank you guys for letting me go to training and class. This means a lot, and I got more classes to go to. And that's it.
All right, thank you. Chief.
Just ask everybody to kind of watch out for the motorcycles this weekend and have a safe weekend.
All right, thank you. Let me build just a minute off of Bike Week. I think, there have been some concerns probably addressed because of some situations or a specific situation that happened here, within the last, 60 days, 45 days. But we're all going to have a great weekend. There are a lot of people going to be in town. We've already had a lot of folks, starting as early as Monday. And they're really starting to roll in right now. So be careful. The bikes don't have as much protection around them, as you do. So watch out for them. And for all those people who are planning on coming to the event, and there are a lot of people who come that actually don't have bikes, but they come to see the new bikes and all the different styles of bikes and whatever. So we would encourage you to come and enjoy the weekend as you have done in the past 14 years. This is, I think, the 15th year for Bike Fest. So anyway, moving on, let's start with City Planner.
Yes, Mayor. Just real quick, of course, the community's rumbling right now, and that pretty much tells us that we're getting towards the end of our season. Basically, what I wanted to do is just, thank the people who are out there working in our service industry right now, because, all of our businesses, they're looking for, they need so much help, and the help that they don't have puts additional pressure on the people who are serving our tourists and our visitors right now. We all know who these folks are. We've been here a long time. They've been coming a long time, and they have really put an immense amount of effort into serving our visitors this summer. And you can go to our restaurants, you can go to our lakefront places, our stores, everything else, and you can just see that they're tired, and that they've been put an extreme amount of effort into it. So one, I just wanted to thank them so much for keeping us going, because we have a lot of our restaurants that have half the building that's shut down because they only have half of the staff that they need, or they have to shut down in an evening that they normally wouldn't. And I hope that we can just, if you pray, put a little prayer out that some of our business owners can see some help coming their way. If you don't pray, then put them in your thoughts, and hopefully we can see some relief as it pertains to our workforce down here. And then along in that same vein, we are, hopefully we're seeing some people do some creative things by way of residential stuff so we can get some housing down here, which we all know is something that we need in excess at this point. I know that every time that we do something by way of economic development or even industrial looks of people coming and looking at the city of Osage Beach or the lake area for even industrial type of uses, one of the main questions on their questionnaire is how many workers can the city of Osage Beach or the lake area supply within the next year or the next 3 years? Well, our answer to that is I don't know, maybe none.
For the record, I didn't write that answer.
It's an unknown. It's an unknown number, but we know that our businesses out there are having a hard time filling the ones that already are open. So it's definitely something that we need to keep close in our heart and work hard as a community to provide that flexibility for our workforces and our workforce housing. So with that, drive extra careful. This weekend. There's going to be a lot of bikes. Like I said, the community's rumbling, and I'll be headed to Shawnee Mission, Kansas to watch 12-year-old girls play softball. So probably pass a lot of bikes on the way there. So have a great weekend.
All right, thanks.
Well stated.
City Treasurer.
Yes, Mayor and Board of Aldermen. If I can control my ragweed attack here, I did want to give you an update on Pruitt's Point, TIF. After 20 years, which this week, the city wired we did the final billing to all of the entities, including Osage Beach, and made the final wire this week to UMB. So they have all the money they need to pay off the bonds. The bonds are scheduled. They moved it up from November 1st to October 15th, all the final paperwork, and the bonds will be paid in full. I know your city attorney is currently working on an ordinance to finalize the district and close it out. I have been in verbal communication with Miller County and the collector's office because they're currently working on their property tax statements. So I've been in contact with them, so they're fully up to date and know that they will not need to come up with any more funds for the TIF. So just wanted to share that with you this evening. Great, great news.
And I also want to add that Carrie Bell started with this TIF, and she, to see a project like that from start to finish, I know she's not going to toot her horn about that, but I am. It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Awesome.
It is. Anything else? Carrie, anything else? Okay. Assistant City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. I know that it's been brought up a couple times at recent meetings about Wren Lane, and I just want to let the board know I have that acceptance ready. It'll be on the October 7th board meeting for the acceptance of Wren Lane into city inventory. Thank you.
All right. Public Works Operations Manager.
Alderman Morose, to your point, that's come up before this year in other projects where notification could, arguably be a lot better. I also received a question via email about that same project, and I just filled them in basically on the information that I'd gotten from Cochran. But I'll reach out to Cochran, and certainly that's, project information of homeowners within the area of the project would be an easy thing for Cochran to generate. It certainly wouldn't take a lot of money to create and distribute. Maybe just an acceptance letter. This is going to happen. Here's the project schedule. Because oftentimes, even within a project, work will stop for a number of weeks, and they just don't understand because they don't understand the nature of construction and its phases. And they say, well, nothing's going on. It's been 3 weeks and so forth. So I'll reach out to them because certainly that's something that they've done in the past in projects. And if, they don't feel comfortable doing it, or they're like, well, whatever, then I can certainly get the information from them, and we can get those addresses and just throw a mailer out. Because to your point, Alderman Osteen, a lot of people just aren't that engaged, they wait and for the information to be sent to them. So that's something we can do in the future, and I think it probably cut down on the panicked emails and the rumors, and to the one email I got, they heard it from a neighbor, and she had no idea it was even happening, if it was, how long it had been in the works, and so forth. So maybe 3 letters in the entire span of a project, would probably be helpful, just for public notification sense, because it's something that just wouldn't bode well for Facebook or any other social media. It's just specific to those within the project. So that's something I'll look into with Cochrane going forward.
Very nice. Thank you.
Thank you. I just present this as a kind of a day in the life of Public Works, is that on Tuesday night, we had a lot of lightning flying around, not a lot of rain, but that lightning had struck Swiss Tower, which controls the east side water system, and knocked it out. A PLC, or programmable logic controller, which makes decisions on when pumps start and when wells turn on and off, so human beings can sleep, had been knocked out. So we'd been monitoring and basically running that system on the east side in hand. Our one-man SCADA integrator had been backpacking in Colorado, so we were really in the weeds. Mr. Bean reached into his files and found an old file that we could work and reinstall into that PLC, so kudos to you, sir. And basically we're made it able to work, so human beings weren't having to check tower levels at 3 a.m. and trying to guess how long it's going to take for that tower to drain, and then come back later and start a well. So a big go team for everybody. Thank you.
So they were able to put their slide rules aside and
That's right.
depend on SCADA again?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Anything else, Michael?
No, sir.
Okay. Parks.
Thank you, Mayor. This weekend, we have our citywide rummage sale. So if you're not busy with the bike stuff, stop by 28 houses in the City Hall. We have a bunch of people participating. We're giving away 3 gift baskets that has wonderful things in it. Another reminder, October 9th, we have our Fall Festival. We are looking for vendors still. So if anybody is interested, or you know somebody that you think would do well at the Fall Festival, send them our way. And that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Fall Festival is always fun.
Yeah.
But Michael, IT.
Not much for me. I just want to reiterate that if any citizens want to watch the board meetings, we have a brand new camera system that pushes out to Facebook and YouTube. I'm not sure how much we've actually expressed that, but we have a new high-def system that they can catch and get all the details from every one of our board meetings. So maybe we reiterate that, and they can get out and actually hear and see everything that we're discussing at our meetings. So, thank you.
All right. And we're starting to see much more engagement online, watching our meetings where people don't have to actually physically come into the meetings. Well, all right, that's it. Our business for the evening is complete, and we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Hey, Kevin. Kevin.